In this week's video, we're going to create a face detector using our webcam and a library called Face API, which uses TensorFlow. With this, we will not only be able to detect faces, but we'll be able to define key facial features and detect expressions and mood, as well as approximate the person's age. Stick around to the end for some funny faces. Really quick before we get into the code, today's video is sponsored by Atlantic.net. Atlantic.net provides great VPS hosting, and they are offering a free 1 gig virtual server with SSDs and block storage for free for a year, plus $25 in free credits to use for other services they offer if you use the link in the description below. It's super easy to use. After I signed up, I was able to provision a new server in less than 30 seconds. Their servers are hosted across 7 different locations in 3 countries, with 2 additional locations coming soon. And unlike other big names in this industry, they have great, always available technical support. They also have incredible reliability and redundancy on their servers. So try Atlantic.net to develop, test, or launch your next project. Click the link in the description below and use the code STACKER to get your $25 in credit. Here's our project folder, and we've got a standard setup here. We have our CSS folder with our styles.css file, our JavaScript folder with our main.js, and then we have the Face API.js as well. And then we have some models that we're going to use. And of course, our index.html. There will be a GitHub repository link in the description below so that you can download all of these files. All right, we'll get started with the HTML file. Of course, we'll use emit and we'll create a boilerplate here. We'll name this AI Face Detection API. And let's go ahead and put our link in here. So it's going to be CSS styles.css. And the HTML is going to be very basic. We're just going to have a video tag with the ID of video, and we're not going to set the source. We're going to set the source in the JavaScript. We're going to add a height, and that's going to be 560, and then a width, and that will be 720. And then we're going to set autoplay and muted. And then after that, we're just going to include our JavaScripts. All right, first we'll include our Face API, and then our main.js. Let me close the sidebar, make it easier to see. All right, and we'll save that. Of course, this isn't going to do anything yet. It's going to require some JavaScript. Let's go ahead and set some basic styles in our CSS. All right, we'll target the body. And we're just going to do some standard resets here with a margin of 0. Padding 0, and we'll set box sizing to border box. We're going to set the page width to 100 view width and the height to 100 view height. We're also going to set this to display as flex. Justify content is going to be center, and align items is going to be center. So that's just going to take all of our content on the page and put it vertically and horizontally in the middle. And if you're not familiar with Flexbox, I have a video on that. And that's going to be all of the styles for now. We'll come back and add one more thing a little bit later. But now we can get into the JavaScript and make it actually do something. Okay, so first thing, we're going to set a constant of video, and we're going to make that equal to document.getElementById, and that's going to be our video. And then we're going to create a function called startVideo, and that is going to use navigator.getUserMedia. Within this, we're going to pass it an object of video, and that is going to equal an empty object. And then we have our stream, and that is going to be video.sourceObject. And we're going to make that equal to our stream. And then if there is an error, we just want to log the error. So all that this function is doing is it's getting our video, it's getting our webcam video, and it's streaming that into our video element. All right, so let's go ahead and call that function, start video, and let's save that, and we'll go ahead and go live. And let's see what that looks like. All right, that seems to be working. Hey guys, let's get back into the code. So before this function, we're going to add some promises. Face API uses promises, so we're going to use promise.all. And if you're unfamiliar with promises, I have a video on that as well. So promise.all accepts an array of promises, and it will complete once they have all completed. So we'll use face API .NET's tiny face detector, and then load from URI, and that's going to be from our models directory. And then I'm just going to go ahead and Alt-Shift down arrow a couple of times, and we're going to have multiple of these. So the next one is going to be our face landmarks, or face landmark 68 net, and that's from the same directory. And then the next one is going to be our face recognition net, and then face expression, and there's one more, and that's going to be our age gender net. After that, we'll include a then, and this is where we're going to actually start the video. So we can remove this, and now the video is going to be started after these models load. Oops. So we'll go ahead and save that. All right, so it's still working. It's running all of the promises first and then loading the video. Okay, so now we need to create our overlays to show us the actual face detection. So now what we'll do is create an event listener. So we'll use our video and we'll add event listener. And we're going to listen for playing. And then we'll have an arrow function. We'll create a constant in here of canvas. We're going to create a canvas to go over the element. So we'll say face API.create canvas from media. And we're going to pass it our video. And then we'll just document body and append the canvas. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go back into our CSS, and we're going to create a style here for our canvas. So all we're going to do is position and absolute. And that's going to be everything for our CSS. Since we're positioning this absolute, it doesn't matter where in the body the canvas is, so we're just going to append it to the end, and that will be just fine. So now there's nothing in the canvas, so let's look at adding some stuff into the canvas. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a constant of display size. This way we can size our canvas. We're going to make the display size an object, and so we're going to say width is going to be video.width, and height is going to be video.height. And then we're going to use our face API and match dimensions. We're going to pass it our canvas and our display size. And that's going to size our canvas to our video. All right, now we're going to create a set interval. And then we're going to make this an asynchronous function. And then within this, we're going to set a constant of detections, and that is going to equal await face API. And Then we're going to use detect all faces. We'll pass it our video and then a new face API and the tiny face detector options. Tiny face detector options, like that. We're not going to pass any additional in, and the T is a capital. Okay, after that, we'll create another constant, and this is going to be the resized detections. And that is going to equal face API dot resize results. And that will pass it our detections and our display size. All right, now we're going to add face API and draw. And we're going to draw the detections. And we'll pass it what to draw on, which is our canvas, and then the resized detections. All right, lastly, we'll go down to the end of our set interval, and we're going to tell it how often to do this, and we'll say 100 milliseconds. Okay, so what we're doing here is every 100 milliseconds, we're going to await our face API, and it's going to detect all of the faces. So once we have received that, then we will resize those detections to our canvas and then draw them on the canvas. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and let's see what that does. All right, it's reloading. And there we go. Now it's detecting my face, but you see that it's drawing constantly and it's making a mess really. So let's see how to fix that. So before we draw, we're going to want to clear our canvas. So we'll say canvas dot get context, and it's a 2D context. We're going to clear rect, and we'll say 0, 0, canvas width, and canvas height. All right, we'll save that and go back, and now it should clear it every single time. There we go. All right, let's move on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add to these detections. So here we have our detect all faces. So the next thing that we're going to detect is going to be our landmarks. So with face landmarks, let's move all of this over. And now all we have to do is draw our landmarks. So we can take this line, Alt-Shift-Down arrow, and we're going to draw, instead of detections here, we're going to draw our face landmarks. And that also accepts our canvas and our resized detections. And now we'll save that and go back. And there we go. Now we have all of our facial landmarks. Let me zoom in a little bit. You should be able to see that. It's a little bit off, but it's sort of working. All right, let's go back. The next thing that we're going to detect is our expressions. So then we'll say with face expressions. And then we have to draw them. All right, so we'll Alt-Shift-Down arrow there, and this is going to be draw face expressions. And that accepts the canvas and the resize detections as well. So we'll save that and go back. And there we go. If I smile, it says I'm happy. Frown, sad, surprised, angry, fun. All right. The last thing that we're going to do is get it to detect or try to predict how old we are. So we'll go back all the way to the top here, and we're going to create a variable called predicted ages. And this is going to be a blank array. And then we'll go back into our set interval. Okay, so then let's add our detection here with age, and gender. And then after that, we're going to create a constant of age is going to equal resized detections, and 0 age. All right, so to make this easier, let me console log resized detections and show you what this looks like. So let's hit save there, and we'll go back, open up the console, and you see this is what we're looking at. So it's an array of one object, and within that object we have all of these, and what we're looking for here is the age. So every 100 milliseconds it's running this, and it's predicting the age. So we're going to pull that in. Let's go back. We'll take this console log out, and then we have our age. The next thing that we're looking at is our interpolated age. And that is going to equal interpolate age predictions. And we're going to pass it our age. So this function we're actually going to create. So again, every 100 milliseconds, it's predicting the age based on the current frame of the video. So that age is going to vary several times every second. So what we want to do is we want to take a group of those ages and figure out what is the median prediction. All right, so let's go ahead and create that function then. We'll go down to the bottom here, and we'll just create a function, call it interpolated age predictions, and it's getting our age. And we're going to say predicted ages is going to equal our age concat predicted ages slice 0, 30. So we're taking every 30 predicted ages and we are finding the median value, or that's what we're going to do. So here's where we do that. We'll set a constant of average predicted ages. Average predicted age is going to equal predicted ages dot reduce, and we're going to pass it our we'll pass it our total and a into an arrow function that's going to return total plus a, and then divide that by predicted ages dot length. Then we're going to return our average predicted age. Let's go back up here and let's console log the interpolated age. All right, we'll save that and go back. And so it's averaging around 33, 34, 35, somewhere in that area. It depends on how I turn my head. Sometimes it goes younger. Interesting. All right, let's go back and let's draw that onto the canvas now. That is the last step. All right, so now we're going to figure out where we want it on the canvas. So we're going to say constant bottom right is where we're going to put it. And that is going to equal an object. And the object that it is looking for is an X and a Y value. So we're going to say X is going to equal resized detections 0 detection box bottom right X minus 50. Well, let me just leave it like this and I'll show you why we're doing this. So X and then Y resized detections 0 detection box bottom right Y. And then we're going to actually draw it. So Face API includes a draw text field method. So we'll say new Face API dot draw text field. And we're going to pass that an array. And we'll use a template string. So we'll say Face API utils.round, and then we'll pass that into our interpolated age. And we want it to round it to 0 decimal places. And then after that, we'll add the text years. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to pass it is where we want it on the canvas. So we'll say bottom right. And after that, we'll say draw, and we'll tell it to draw on the canvas. And let's go ahead and get rid of this console log. And we'll save that and go back. Let's close the console, zoom out a little bit. Okay, so now you see that it's drawing it way over here. Bottom right is where it's starting. In here, resized detections, and we're looking at our detection box. So that's the box that's being drawn. And then the bottom right, X, and the bottom right, Y. We want it to draw on the bottom right, but we want it to indent a bit to the left. So I'm just going to subtract 50 from the X, and that will make it go to the left a bit. So we'll save that and go back. So now it detects our facial landmarks, our expression, and our age. Check out the documentation on Face API. There's a lot more that you can do with it. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching. Check me out on social media and support me on Patreon if you have the means. We'll see you in the next video.